Hello, and welcome to the Voluntary Virtues Network. My name is Michael, and I'll be your host on Something is Rotten in the State of Denmark. Today I'll be having Lars Andersen with me, who's a freedom activist, former cop, a libertarian, anarchist, voluntarist, whatever you want to call it. Welcome to you, Lars.
Thank you.
So, I wanted to talk a bit about, your former job as a cop, why you quit it. What made you quit it?
Yes, I joined the Copenhagen police force in the winter of 2006 because I used to be a soldier and I wanted to experience the action and the group spirit in the police, and I also wanted to protect people's freedoms and property. But as the years went by, I discovered that many of the things I was doing in the police force was quite the opposite of protecting people's life and property. So I quit my job in 2010 after I publicly announced that I wouldn't participate in enforcing the drug laws in Denmark.
So you were basically just doing the same thing as you were supposed to protect people from.
Yes, I was actually the criminal in regards to violating people's right when they were in possession of drugs. So I publicly announced that I wouldn't do it, and there was quite a bit of media on that event in the summer of 2010. I was in national television and so on. So now I'm more or less a full-time libertarian activist.
That's good. That's a lot better. Aren't you able to sleep better at night as well?
I am actually, if I still was a policeman, there would be a kind of a discrepancy between my own moralities and what I do every day. I wouldn't be able to perform my job knowing that it was wrong. So yes, I sleep better at night.
That's understandable. How did you get in touch with the libertarian thought?
It was kind of it was not with a snap of the fingers. It was a gradual movement. I started to read about the drug laws and what effect they had on society, and then I started reading on a Danish internet newspaper with a kind of a libertarian touch to it, and then I just started thinking, okay, what is my moral basis to violate people because they have some kind of incentive to take drugs or smoke other tobaccos than I maybe prefer. So gradually I moved into the libertarian thought, and now I'm a full-blown libertarian anarchist.
For the Danish viewers, I'm hoping that will be seeing this. What newspaper was that?
It was 180 grader, 180 degrees translated into English. It is run by actually a member of parliament, but he wasn't that when he started the newspaper. So it was there I posted some articles, and it was on that platform that I announced that I wouldn't participate in enforcing drug laws.
Hmm, that's good. So, Licens Lars, let's hear a bit about that.
Yes, I'm also called in English license or TV license Lars, because I since 2009 or 10 have fought the Danish government television because they demand that you pay them a license if you own a smartphone with internet access or a computer with internet access or a television. So it's a compulsory information tax to pay in Denmark if you own some of these devices. So I have actively been been telling people about how to avoid this tax on information, and I have been quite a pain in the neck for the Danish government television. I have been writing them and bothering them in numerous non-aggressive ways.
Yeah, that's. I've been following your pages around a bit, and it's pretty interesting. Especially, I've been seeing more and more people coming to the conclusion that it's wrong. And
Yes, I actually think that many people, especially young people, they come to the conclusion that it's totally unacceptable for the government to force you to pay for their TV station. So for some people, at least, it's probably also a way to get into libertarian thoughts, because if you realize that you cannot force people to pay for your television, then it's much easier to convince them not to pay for your roads or your health care or your schooling or so on and so forth. So in that way, it's a good way to getting people into the libertarian thought.
yeah, you could see it that way actually. That's it's pretty useful, and a lot of people have come to the conclusion, as for what I've seen, just from following what you've been doing, myself included as well. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, the TV license is about 500 American dollars a year you have to pay for the government television. And as you could guess, government television, they are very, very pro welfare state and pro government. It's actually horrible to see through libertarian eyes. Most Danish libertarian would probably agree. For instance, I saw a show last night where they decided on the Danish government television, they decided to look into why the Danish prices were so high, and only in the end they came. They stated that it might have something to do with taxes and sales taxes, which are extremely high in Denmark. We have a 25% sales tax on everything, almost. But right after they stated that, they immediately cut to a scene where some old man was getting treated on some of the government funded hospitals. So they more or less argumented that it's good to have a government healthcare program, and it was just so pro-government and so pro-welfare, and it's like that all the time on the Danish radio, which the Danish government television is called.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. I've stopped looking at it for like.
I only look at it if I want my blood pressure to rise extremely.
Yeah, it almost kills some. I haven't paid the TV license ever, not once.
Good,
So
good.
I'm pretty happy about not supporting that shit.
Yeah.
But what was that? I just lost that. Yeah, 180% car tax as well. Hey, a dog.
Yes, in Denmark we also have if you buy a somewhat expensive car, you have to pay a tax of 180%. That means literally that you have to pay for 3 cars when you only need one. And if you calculate what the car owners, they cost the government, say roads and healthcare and so on and so forth, they pay much, much more than they actually use in government services. So it's just a money machine for the Danish government, and it really is a safety issue in Denmark also, because we drive in old buckets, because we can't afford new cars, newer, safer cars, and it's probably also an environmental problem because newer cars are more clean and efficient, but we can't afford them either because the government wants 3 times the cost if you buy a car.
Yeah, and it's not only the 180 taxes. uh, tax. It's the watch and every other single tax on the car as well. So it's
There
just
are more taxes than just this car tax on 180%. You have to have VAT and also import taxes, I think. So I can't even imagine how much a reasonably expensive car would actually cost compared to the sales value from the factory. It's just insane.
I'm not even gonna buy a car in this country. I'm not even gonna get my driver's license. That's just ridiculous. Not gonna pay, what is it, $2,000 or something for the government's approval.
No, that's also ridiculously expensive because all prices in Denmark are actually through the roof, more or less, because we have to pay at least 50% taxes, and there are so many things in Denmark. The marginal tax for just a reasonably wealthy person, I can't even imagine what it might be. It's plus 70%, I think, if you include VATs and sales tax and car taxes and all kinds of stuff. It's depressing to think of.
Yeah, it makes you feel like a slave if you had a tax.
We are a kind of slaves. We are slaves that can choose our own jobs because that's more efficient to have slaves that way. When you pay 70% to the government, you are in effect a slave.
That reminds me of the Jones Plantation by Larkin.
I'm a big fan of Larkin Rose. That's one of my favorite anarchists. He thinks like me, and he is also very. He does not argue from a pragmatic standpoint. He argues from a standpoint of morality, and I really like that.
Yeah, he's pretty good at using logic. I like that.
Yeah,
it's something I can follow. So, frihedsaktivisten. Let's hear something about that. What made you start that?
Frihedsaktivisten in Danish, or in English, The Freedom Activist, is a blog that I started as a kind of a platform for my libertarian activism. I started it a couple of years ago, and it has been quite successful, actually. I have a lot of readers. I think I have something like 500,000 unique, 500,000 page views in the 2 years I've had the blog. It's okay for a Danish blog.
That's pretty good.
But it's a platform for my activism. I have sold cannabis to 20 adults just to make a statement through civil disobedience.
You did that on the politicians' Facebook pages.
Yes, I did it on the Minister of Justice's Facebook page. I sold these cannabis products there, and actually the Danish tax authorities, they contacted me because they wanted revenue, they wanted money, tax money from my selling cannabis, because I actually registered as a legal company, and the laws in Denmark are such that even the sales of illegal goods, they are still subjected to taxation. It's crazy, but that just proves the point of the state caring more about money than their own laws. The primary thing for the state is to get a revenue from people.
Yeah, it was the same with the youth politician the other day, getting searched on the reason.
The state, the government, and the police in Denmark especially are doing more and more of very unlibertarian things. So yes, it's definitely moving the wrong way, I think.
Yeah, people have been searched in front of schools, strip searched, and various other places.
Yeah, that was also something that I blogged about, and that also got in the media. That the Danish police in Christianshavn, that's a place where the Danish Christiania, which is a kind of it's really an anarchistic part of town where the police have not got very much power, and they sell cannabis there in the open, and they are actually doing a quite good job from a libertarian standpoint. But yes, in that area, people are searched without reasonable without a reasonable suspicion, and the police also use the schools in the area to take people in there and strip search them in the vicinity of children, and that's just that's inexcusable.
It's pretty horrible, I'd say.
It is, yes.
Um, how do you do your activism? What makes you do it?
It's a sense of righteousness. I think I think the society is in many ways so wrong and so and violating people's. The state is violating people's fundamental human rights, and I really feel good about myself when I use the weapon of civil disobedience to draw attention to these matters. For instance, I am convicted as a racist because in Denmark it's illegal to say, for instance, that Muslims or Catholics, they are horrible people and they do bad things to their children. And if it's true or not, that doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me is it's illegal to say, and that's why I need to say it. So I'm convicted of mocking religious people. So
that's
we haven't really got a freedom of speech in Denmark, because the freedom of speech is not about talking about the weather or how nice your dog looks. The freedom of speech should grant you the rights, or should allow you to say even horrific things like the Holocaust never happened, even though it did. Of course, you're allowed to say stupid, violating things.
Yeah, I would say that as well. It was the same at Bilderberg. They had free speech zones, didn't they?
I don't know how it's constructed, but I've heard the phrase "free speech zones," which in itself is really Orwellian, to say that okay, in this area there is no free speech, but you can be over here and then you might have some free speech. That's like something taken out of the novel 1984. But yes, the police also did some pretty nasty stuff regarding this Bilderberg meeting. They took cameras away from journalists Luke Rudkowski, I think his name was, and Dan Dix.
Yeah.
Those two. They had some of their footage deleted, and they were arrested for not carrying their passports. So it's the freedoms in Denmark. They are really under some pressure.
Arrested for not having the paperwork to show which tax farm you belong to.
As they said in Germany, Ausweis bitte. Papers, please. It's a police. It's worthy of a police state, not a free society.
Julia Turiansky had a similar experience with the police. I don't think she was arrested though, but I'll be having her on the show later on.
Okay.
In a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but it's in general in Denmark, it's a problem filming the police like it is in the United States also. They really dislike being filmed, and sometimes they take your camera or manhandle you if you film them, even at a distance. They try to give the impression that it's illegal to film police in Denmark, which it isn't. And the police, the higher ups in the police chiefs, they have even said so themselves. No, it's not illegal to film the police when they do their job in the public space. So it's a problem everywhere filming the police. They really dislike it.
No, of course they do, and they could be held accountable for their actions. So Why
Yeah,
would
but
they?
and they really do when you film the police, so it's important to do so. And it's becoming more and more popular filming the police. A
Yeah, it's cool.
youth politician, he filmed his own himself being frisked on a metro station and being looked down the crotch on his private part. He filmed that incident, and there was a lot of media attention, and the police was quick to lash out at him and say, "Oh, you should let us do our jobs." And if a surgeon on a hospital was filmed, he wouldn't like that either, which is just the most idiotic statement ever. Because a doctor on a hospital haven't got a monopoly on violence, and they doesn't have the right to to frisk you and to force their way onto your genitals. So it's just idiotic. That the Danish police, they have such a little capability of thinking logically.
Yeah, and you'd suppose that the same phrases of words would be used to uphold themselves, and you've got nothing to hide. No, that is wrong. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear.
No, exactly, and that's funny to turn around because private people, they always have something to hide, namely their privacy. And
Yeah,
many people, they don't get that. The Danish mainstream, a lot of people, they really use the statement that, oh, my telephones, they just bug them and open my letters because I have nothing to hide. And to me, that just proves that people have no self-respect really when
yeah,
just submit themselves to surveillance and yeah, and willingly they willingly do so, and that's just horrible. But 60 years or 40, 50, 60, how much the welfare state has existed, that many years of indoctrination, that really leaves a mark on people, I think.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't care that much if it was a company doing it because the company can't kidnap me for doing something it doesn't like. So
No, you should separate private surveillance with government surveillance.
yeah,
I'm totally fine with private surveillance as long as it's done within the boundaries of private property. If I have a metro station and I run it, I can surveil it as much as I want to, and if people don't like it, they can just stay away from my metro station. But
yeah, exactly.
that's not the case with public surveillance. They can do all kinds of stuff, and yes, they can kidnap you if they find that you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, and if you try to protect yourself, they'll just, you know,
You should be Superman if you try to protect yourself because you will in the end up with a bullet in your head if you do not comply with government laws.
yeah,
And many people also in the Danish mainstream, they do not get this simple fact that the consequence of not obeying a law is not that you get a slap on the wrist. The consequence in the end is that the government will use as much force as they they have to get you to comply or to punish you. So people they really think that oh you're only going to get a fine or they are just going to take it out of your salary if you don't pay. And if you really go at them and say okay if I pay the fine and if they don't have the possibility to take your money, what then? And then people they get very uncomfortable when they have to realize that a law actually is enforced by violence in the end. But it's a fact of life, and yeah, people should think about that.
yeah. They don't really want to look at the gun in the room. That's
No, right, they
really
don't.
a
They
shame.
think the state just asks you politely. So, oh, please don't smoke cannabis in your garden. No, they don't. If you resist that the violation enough, the state will or the state agents will do bad things to you, and in the end, they will kill you if you resist.
Yeah, they will steal everything you have before that.
Yes, because in Denmark, most people they are employed, and we have taxation by the source in Denmark. So you get your money after the tax has been deducted. So
Yeah,
most people they are unable to do kind of tax fraud really, and and if you try to resist, the government, they have you by the balls. They'll take your house. They know where you live. If you don't pay property taxes, which is just a lease on things you already own, they'll come after you. So it's kind of hard to resist in Denmark being a normal citizen. They have built a system that really is efficient at keeping people in line.
Yeah, and the worst part is that it's always the children. Always.
Yes, when the argument for doing all this stuff is security and children, who would build the roads? Classic argument, even in Denmark, or who would do this or who would do that if it was on a private market? People they really need a complete plan on how to do different things before they could be persuaded to let the market take care of it. It's actually like asking who would pick the cotton if we freed the slaves, and you shouldn't ask that way. You should just free the slaves and then figure out how to pick the cotton. It can work out.
Just like back then, it worked out pretty well.
It did. We have machines and the voluntary labor that's picking more cotton than slaves ever could by hand. So of course the market can take care of even the most complex problems.
Yeah. So we have just 4 minutes left, and I still want to talk about the Patreon subscriptions for the pepper spray.
Patreon is I think it's a US-based company that is crowdfunding all kinds of projects. So in there, I have set up a funding project where people can pay something a month, and it's pretty hard economically to live from being a libertarian anarchist. So I'm really glad that people they contribute to my work in there just in the slightest amount, maybe $1 or $5 each month. So that's a very good option for people to fund their projects, and the internet is a very, very powerful way of doing so.
And you set it up with the campaign as so you would make a video similar to Adam Kokesh, where you tested the pepper sprays, which you're selling yourself.
Yes, also as a civil disobedience and a capitalistic project, I'm selling pepper sprays for Bitcoins, and I'm setting up a shop to sell it, because it's illegal to own any weapon for self-defense in Denmark. Only government agents can own weapons to defend themselves with. So I'm actually right now under investigation for selling people pepper sprays. So yeah, I made a video of me being pepper sprayed like Adam Kokesh, also one of my. Yeah, I look up to Adam Kokesh. I even grew a beard. So I made a video when when Patreons contributes to me were plus $300 US. So I would have made it anyway. Just don't tell anyone.
That's pretty too late now.
Yeah.
So you're setting up a shop to sell them. How's that going?
We're just working on setting up the web shop now, but it's going to be paid for with Bitcoin, and the company or the web shop is Panama based and also paid with Bitcoins. So the Danish police will have a very hard time doing anything about that. And they also shut down my previous page, frihedsaktivisten.dk, and now I'm just doing the same stuff I'm doing there in a .com domain, because they shut me down for revealing the identities of some of these police officers that are frisking people without cause on the metro stations. So yes, I have quite a quarrel with the police.
Well, this is all the time we have. I'd like to thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
It was interesting.
Thank you.
And yeah, so take care.
I will. You too.